My name is Steven and this is my channel, Heart's Delight Exports. Okay, so we're back down in my very dirty, cluttered shop again today. And I'm working on a woodworking project. Hold the applause, hold the applause. It's not exactly a complicated build. I'm building a child-size table. My youngest daughter needs a small table in her room. I have a tabletop already. It is not straight, but it is solid. And for what I need it to do right now, I think I'll try for it. First part I want to work on is some legs. I got a couple of scrap pieces of 2x4 here. I don't need things to be perfect. I need them to be safe for her because she's only 4. But I can manage with some older scrap pieces of 2x4 to start with. So the first thing I need to do is to take my 2 pieces of 2x4, cut them down. I'm going to try to get 2 legs out of each one. I'm going to try to get about 1.5 inches thick leg. I've already marked them for 16 inches. So I got 2 pretty nice looking legs and 2 that are kind of ugly. So what I'm going to try to do right now is to pretty these up a little bit by running them through this way to try to take the faces off. This helped a little bit, it cleaned it up a little bit, but not enough. And I need to tighten up the fence to do a bit better on this side. Alright, that's my 4 legs done for the moment. Put those aside. These are going to be my apron rails. Definitely want to rip them down, they're too wide at the moment. This is all pallet wood, obviously, and some of it have substantial cracks into it. So I need to take all of that into account on how much I can get out of it. I think 2 inches is going to be safe bet. Alright, so I can get, this is scrap, 18 and a half out of that one. 18 and a half out of that one. So that's 2 of my apron rails right there on that one piece. Okay, so that gives me, this is scrap right where the nail holes is 2, that's good. And this gives me 2 that are 23 inches long. So I'm liking that. So my first step now for the apron rails are going to be to rip these probably a bit more than I need them. Boards are about 3 1/4 long, but I'm only going to get a 2-inch piece out of this guy. Maybe 2 and a hair. So I want to set my table saw fence to a little bit more than 2, maybe a just a bit over 2. I don't need you on the table, get down. So if my saw is set to just over 2 inches, I should be able to get pretty close to the width that I want and still have enough there to be able to shave off the other edge of the wood so that I have 2 nice edges of wood. At this point in my project, I have 4 legs made. They're straight, not that great looking just yet. And I've got 4 pieces of pallet wood cut down to about 2 inches that need to be cut down closer to the length. So far I've only measured the outside of the tabletop to get it close to what I want. I haven't tried to get this perfectly sized just yet. So, time to cut this, and then we'll see next step. So as you can see, my pieces are way too big. It's not exactly unsurprising. I measured the top of the tabletop from one end to the other to get a general idea of how big I wanted this thing. So now it's time to cut to more specific idea of how big I need this. And now that I can see some of the layout idea, I'm going to make this pretty simple as much as I can. I'm still deciding some of the factors as I'm going along. Like the fact that I don't think that piece is actually cut off square on that side. It's important that I get this one right, because then I could do this, the other apron rail, its pair off of it. So that will put that one at 13 7/8. But considering how thin these guys are, I think I'm going to cheat at least a little. Put 2 of them together so that they're very nice and flush on this end. I'm just going to chop. I'm thinking mortise and tenon might be a bit more complicated than I need to go for this. As bad as it sounds, a few simple dowels or something would be just as good. And then I need to attach the top to the body. And I can actually get this thing done so that, you know, powers that be can disapprove of it and buy something from a toy company. Tabletop is definitely warped. I think what I'm going to do next is to pre-drill a few holes, see if I can locate some finishing nails, and use finishing nails to attach the apron together. And now I'll have to think about the legs. Do I want to put them on here onto the skirt with finishing legs? Do I want to attach the legs to the skirt with some finishing nails, or do I want to use... think I'm actually going to use drywall screws. I got a collection of them nice and close. I got a drill bit that'll work. I try to put my tools back. I really do. I'm not very good at it, as you can tell. I'm trying not to drive the screw too tight. Truth is, if I put the screw in too tight, I'm almost guaranteed that I'm going to split the wood. Just to get it nice and flush. So that at least gets us that far. Now the other thing I need to consider is how am I going to attach this to my tabletop. I hadn't considered it up until now. Some of the wasted pieces of wood that I cut off earlier might be salvation that way. Yeah, if I take one of these little chunks of wood and screw it into the apron there, I can then screw through that into the tabletop. Let's not mistake ourselves here either, okay? I know this is going to be kind of a junky table and the family's probably going to reject it, but it's the idea. It's trying to do what I want. Drywall screws can be surprisingly effective with most woods. Not good with hardwood though. Sometimes you have to back the drywall screw out and then give it another jolt forward in order to get it to connect very well, to draw tight enough. Sometimes, like that time, it goes a lot easier than I thought. Wanted to do that. So I don't have it squared on here. I have a 2-inch overhang on this end. But on this side, it's more like an inch and 3/8. I'm still okay with that though, truth be told. I'd say we have a tabletop. Not really satisfied with how tight that apron is on there though. Some of that is because the wood is warped. I think a couple of more blocks on these sides would help with that. I've been debating putting some sort of decorative look to this leg. I'm not sure, well, I'm not sure that I can accomplish a nice looking thing. Well, let's cast some self-doubt aside. I know I can make it look good. I'm just not sure that it's worth the effort. I've done a nice end table at one point. You can see in one of my previous videos. It's probably the most successful woodworking project I have on my list. This one's not going to rival it. So these two legs I'm going to put on the inch and a quarter, I said? Something like that. I'm going to put it on the shorter end. And the other two I'll put on longer. I'll keep it long so I can move things like. So at this point, the table works. Like, it's actually fairly sturdy. It's sitting mostly flat, but it's by no means ready to give to my daughter. So I'm not looking to make it really fancy, but it does need to be safe, splinter free. So I need to spend a fair bit of time that I don't actually have right now in sanding this down a lot, sanding the legs and the aprons down a lot, but this will work. And after that, I'll have to see if I have some paint or stain for finish so that I make it more durable. Don't get me wrong, this is not a great table. It's functional, it'll do the job, but it's not great. There's dips in the wood. You can feel where I joined it, that there's undulations in the wood kind of thing. There's a big dip over here where I think I might have just sanded out too much. I don't know. I might have been trying to sand out a hump and went too far. Belt sanders will do that. But at the same time, this is still thick enough wood that I can hopefully safely sand this down a fair bit and make this usable. Now this, one of the pieces of wood, you can see by the stain here, had a fairly hefty crack into it. This was an earlier attempt, pretty early attempt actually, at making panels. I didn't know a lot about what I was doing, and I think I have the grain of the panels running in different directions. maybe not to the betterment of the panel. This is another project for Heartsy Light Exports. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been a quick and dirty table. It's not great, but it will work. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time on Heartsy Light Exports. My name's Steven, and I'm out of here. Come on, let's go. Cassandra bought us a bubble tea.